Hey, welcome in, everybody. I'm Phil. I'm your host. We're talking Lorcana today. Ravensburger this past week put out a annual statement, kind of updating everybody on how they performed that past year. They're a privately held company. They're not publicly held, so they're not required to disclose certain amounts in their financials or anything. But they try to bring in investors as a private company still. So they put out these statements, kind of informing everybody how their year went. And long story short, they have printed plenty and revenue is down. Specifically, they call out their TCG sector. That revenue is down greatly from the hyped opening of Lorcana. So we're going to get into it. Before I give too much spin on the ball, I want to at least just bring this up. This is the actual statement. Let me pull it up so I'm not just looking at the tiny version of it here. So this was the 27th, a couple days, 4 days ago, as of this recording. After 2 years of exceptionally strong growth, the Ravensburger's group sales declined by 5.9%. This is total. The group's core business, that's games, puzzles, books, grew by 3%. Only the company's trading card business normalized, is the verbiage they use here, after an extremely successful start, settling at a high level, is the in their top line overview, the last bit that they include about TCGs here. When we scroll down to the specifics, this is trading cards. Their overview is from hype to established business segment. And I think that's pretty important. So we'll just read straight up what they're putting out to these investors that might want to put some money down into Ravensburger as a private company. Following an extremely successful launch phase, Lorcana saw a drop in sales. After the initial hype, demand has normalized at a high level. Those joining the brand with a primary interest in investment, I'm talking to you, Joey McScrooge, they have since withdrawn. So Ravensburger is well aware that Joey's not making any more Lorcana videos. They miss you, bro. They need more videos right now. But they do explain the game continues to enjoy growing popularity among its core target group of players and collectors. They also go on to explain how it is they're going to incorporate certain, yeah, organized play events. There's a specific quote about wanting to go beyond the product, bring fans and communities together. So they're going to use this next year to try to look for more ways to incorporate group play. Definitely that what I'm hearing from that is a big complaint from a lot of people in Lorcana is right now the competitive side of Lorcana play is doing great. The high end collecting side is doing great. Locals is dead, and there aren't any casual collectors. So it seems as if Ravensburger is saying, "Hey, we hear you. We are seeing the same exact thing." They also tease here at the end, beginning with set 12. We will launch in May 2026. Fans can also look forward to their first Pixar characters being included. So they're just trying to explain from here, hey, we've normalized at what we feel is a very high level, and we're going to continue to see growth as we include more IPs from here. Seems pretty straightforward. For anyone, I'll go ahead and pop back here, pop my head back into the screen. For anybody who wasn't really around, my cat's knocking over boxes that I got sealed Lorcana boxes delivered to me this week. Got some whispers in the well, baby. Um, and she's knocking that shit over now, so that's fun. But anyone who needs like a little history lesson, kind of connected to a video I did the other day. 2023, kind of a slower year for Pokemon for sure. 151 was big for Gen 1ers, but outside of that, investor types hated Scarlet Violet. So none of that was very fertile ground for the investors. And over in Magic, I know like the Lord of the Rings is going to be the big one for Magic over in that year, but there were also like some duds. I know Commander Masters, there was a lot of consternation about the price, how expensive it was, and that was like a month before Lorcana launched with the first chapter. So just trying to kind of set the stage here, a lot of those speculative collectors, those investor types, they went heavy on Lorcana. They went in, and it made it someone a casual fan like me. It's hard for me to even remember that September was the release of Lorcana because most people didn't get actual product till December when that first resupply that was supposed to be for a moderate amount of interest finally came to the market that was hot for that product. Lorcana kind of saw it's almost the inverse of like One Piece. I think One Piece is about a year older, maybe not even a full year older than Lorcana. They're seeing their hype cycle at the other end because not all the distributors even carried One Piece for a good amount of time. I don't think all major distributors even carry One Piece now. I don't follow One Piece as closely, so hit me in the comments with that. But people obviously were looking for something to speculate on, and Lorcana was like their shining, if this game is around in 10 years, speculative bet. Which, again, for anyone who wasn't around through the pandemic hype cycle, when all those games that were launching that were supposed to replace Magic, you had like, trying to remember them all. Cryptic, I think Flesh and Blood is still kicking. There are probably a couple that are still kicking that I'm gonna shit on. When I don't actually know that world. I know a lot of people who speculated on those games used the line, if this game was around in 10 years, man, just think about what this is gonna be worth. Just like they use that line now on Destined Rivals. Just think about what this is gonna be worth in 10 years. The third set to ever talk about Team Rocket. It's like, yeah, it's the third fucking Team Rockets. Who gives a fuck? It's not even the good Team Rocket members in this motherfucker. That's a diatribe. That's just trying to give you the history lesson of investors. The investor types were buying Lorcana boxes and sitting on them motherfuckers. Um, and Ravensburger very clearly thought that's not how you build a game. When you're One Piece, thank God Bandai, people say they're going to Bandai it up. I think they're going to have a really good idea of genuine interest growing, or what it was before, and what they should target as it grows, as they increase their print runs. I really am hopeful for One Piece. But Ravensburger was on the other end of the equation, right? All that speculative hype was right up front, so it was so hard for them to determine what is the actual size of our audience. How many people are actually going to be ripping boxes up in this motherfucker? And they didn't want investors. They wanted people who were vested. They wanted to know who out of our audience wants Lorcana and who out of our audience wants a box that's going to be worth a lot in 10 years. And they didn't give a fuck about that second group. I'm telling you, to anyone in Pokemon who's just been like pining for product, I'm showing you the revenue breakdown of a company saying, hey, we will take the losses if that's what it takes to get boxes to people. Just something to think about. And that's kind of, much to the chagrin also of LGS owners, people who are trying to bet on this game as something that they can make a margin per box on in the future. But it's overall, then you end up with these two major reasons why the investor type bros in cardboard do not like Lorcana. The upfront one of Ravensburger really making you pick your preferred distributor. They're now making moves of ensuring that stores with organized play are get the priority when restocks or if there is a reprints come down the line. They make sure boxes get into the hands of people who want to open them because then those people don't have to go to a second market. Or if you do support that game and some other shop doesn't, it's just something that's foisted upon them by the distributor. They're not going to suddenly just undercut the price that you're trying to set in your shop because to them it's the bullshit product and to you it's the game that you actually support organized play for. Ravensburger is trying to do everything they can to ensure that the actual people who want to open up them motherfucking packs are getting those boxes. Just something that I appreciates about them as a manufacturer. And that second major point of why investors are shying away, then now Ravensburger is showing even in the revenue, we'll eat it, motherfucker. If that's what it takes, we will hit the reprint button and get these boxes into the hands of people who need them. There is still a bit of a question of if this is a steeper drop off, perhaps, than Ravensburger had thought in that initial hype cycle. And I guess the way I would describe what I believe, why I believe that as well. The average, like, kind of life cycle for a casual TCG fan is like in a 2 to 3 year span, right? The hardcores might stick around for life, but casual fans, and this is true for a lot of hobbies, really, 2 to 3 years is about the most vested there in that hobby. You probably, if you're making like your best case scenario and worst case scenario 3 year plan as a business, a TCG business launching fresh, you're going to want to account for worst case scenario. We need our 3 year plan of, hey, how do we replace that churn? We need it ready at year two, just in case we're not actually connecting with as many people in this audience as we thought through that initial hype cycle. There needs to be some sort of a, almost like a, in case of emergency, break glass, pull out new rarities, get them ballin' ass iconics. Those first two iconics that we know are like aces in the hole. Bring those bad boys out. Get us new rarity tiers, shorten our print runs a bit, and let's start getting some Pixar characters rolled out. I feel like that would have been their plan. Best case scenario at year three. And I feel like this might have been potentially for Ravensburger, even worst case scenario is, hey, we're not going to be the phenomenon right out of the gate that we thought. Instead, we have a really loyal, stable fan base, which is good enough for us. That this is it isn't even our lane. TCGs isn't even Ravensburger's thing, right? They're a game and puzzle company. But if we can find enough of a stable fan base that we can draw consistent revenue through this quarter over quarter, this thing is a long term part of our business plan now. That means a lot to me as someone who is looking for a hobby that isn't going to get hyped through the fucking moon, and that I don't even know if I'm going to be into this much longer than 2 to 3 years. But it seems like the company that I'm interested in is saying, hey, you know what, we're looking pretty good. We're looking like we're going to draw in some more people through these new steps, and we're going to stabilize around these levels and then start to slowly grow from here. Sounds great to me. I also don't quite know how laws might work in Europe, because Ravensburger is a European company, I think German, that I don't know how much they're allowed to like move capital losses from one year to the other. Which, even as someone, as a private investor in that company, this is the exact kind of scenario when you're dipping a toe into like a new vertice of an industry, a new part of that industry. That's the exact time where you might want to say, hey, we're shifting some of these losses over because we don't quite know how much of a rebound we're going to catch off this thing. So I don't even think it's like something that would be untowards or like some sort of impropriety or anything. I just feel like if we know Inklands, that was 2024, not 2025, and that was liquidated, motherfucker. That was in like, I don't know, thrift shops or some motherfucking shit. It, there's no way you can tell me that they weren't starting to experience some of that in 24, and they weren't trying to find a way to say, okay, so how do we balance this? Is it going to be a big bounce off this thing, or is it going to be more of a slow, gradual climb? And from what I'm seeing here, slow, gradual climb seems to be what we're looking at. There was even a rumor, this is purely a rumor from a Discord, 18,000 grains of salt with this, but that Disney through 2025, as these other games are booming, wanted a piece of that action. And Ravensburger had to explain, hey, there is a reason why we did it this way. We do want a loyal fan base, whether it's players or collectors. We want people who actually care about the cards inside and not the values of the boxes being driven through the roof. And I think it's going to pay off to do both, personally. But the bottom line is they did what a lot of Pokemon fans really want right now. They printed past the hype, past the speculators or investors, the lazy resellers is the way I look at it. The resellers who don't want to actually like turn over any kind of product, they want to just buy something and sit on it for however long. You're just a lazy reseller. But they were able to print past that. That's what every fan in Pokemon wants right now. It isn't necessarily what every local game store would want. It isn't just investors you're going to turn off with this. Like I said, if a game overprints and becomes that product that some distributor just kind of hoists off onto a game shop to get them to up their spend in a game that they know, this is really a Magic shop, that's really a Pokemon shop, whatever it is. That is going to lead to that shop that gets Lorcana just kind of shoved upon it to go, okay, well then, TCG player, here we come. Instead, there are steps that we could take as a manufacturer, is what Ravensburger is saying, to be able to get these boxes into the hands of people who actually want them. Investors were scared off, and some of those shops were scared off as well. When you see some of those hype machines who were burned, who have heavy fucking Lorcana bags right now, they point to this statement, they insist Lorcana's dead, look at this shit, all that revenue's down. This would actually be a statement when, in the stock world, a lot of times companies have very bad like revenue reports according to what was estimated for that quarter, but their guidance for the next quarter or next 6 months is much higher than anticipated previously. Like the net projection is higher because of really hard fucking losses that they had to eat and then make cut the losses, so to speak, and then go to fucking work. This is exactly what it would look like when one of those stocks has a what looks like, hey, revenue was down, blah blah blah, but after hours it's up like fucking 8%. You're like, what the fuck is going on right now? You need to actually read between the lines and what that company is saying. Hey, the future's actually looking really bright. It looks like we've dialed this shit in. So when you have some of those hype machines saying, Lorcana's dead, Lorcana's dead, Lorcana's dead. I like to remind people it's really good, especially with a player's game, to try to get perspectives of local game shop owners, especially out here on YouTube. Plenty of them who want to put the experience of what it's like to try to maintain one of these games, the communities that keeps these TCGs afloat, the work that goes into that. This is a clip. A lot of people might know Mason from Cardinal Gaming is his YouTube channel. He's doing kind of like a state of the union on all sorts of TCGs. So definitely give him a subscribe and watch these other videos. They've been just a treat, including one where he's very patiently explaining how I think it's Asmodee. I'm trying to remember like how to pronounce the producer of Star Wars Unlimited. Who, man, if you want to look at how it is that a TCG manufacturer can slowly kill their game, it seems like they're in the process of doing that. They're like fast on route to having the more collectible versions of their cards being actually more common than the standard versions that don't have like the foiling or like whatever sparklies, which is just fascinating. But they undercut their own market. They've tried to launch a collector's box far before they earned the right to do it. He very patiently tried to explain how that manufacturer fucks him as a shop owner, because he literally they force him to sell at a loss in order to compete with the way that they put product out there. And even had like a comment saying, hey man, I had to go somewhere else to play Star Wars Unlimited. Don't talk about it. Someone else had it cheaper. He's like, no, you did what you're supposed to. Asmodee wants you at that other shop. I'm not playing their game, so no one's doing anything wrong here. It's been a tour de force of this guy trying to explain to a whole bunch of I don't know, hype machines or sometimes customers who only care about their wallet. It's all bottom line, nothing about the experience for them. It's been great, but I want watch this full Lorcana video, but I wanted to at least bring this up. He's kind of explaining from his standpoint how that the hype might be the hype dissipating might be a good thing for Lorcana. And this was a couple weeks before Ravensburger put out the statement saying, literally in that the way they phrase it, hype is gone, but now we've got a nice steady base. Here's Mason, who runs a card shop, telling you the same exact thing. Let's get this take up real quick.
So I think Lorcana is okay where they're at. It is not nearly as hype. No one cares nearly as much. There are people that still are interested. There's some people that come in and say, hey, they just did this movie, or they just did this TV show from back in the day. Are you going to get the set in? So there's people that still do keep up with it just from a casual basis, from a collecting basis, but for the most part, it feels like it's a TCG. Lorcana actually broke out of the mold of just trying to be a big hype over and over thing, and they're back at actually being a TCG and with organized play. So good on them for like actually taking that seriously and making the changes that they have to, because that's that's a big deal. That's a good and it's a good experience. It speaks to the longevity of the game. It may not just be a flash in the pan. Why? Because they actually have and they're building a player base that actually cares and wants to actually play the game. That's where Lorcana is at. Uh, I am going to actually, now that I've been looking into it to kind of do this video, I'm actually going to pick it up again. I'm going to buy a couple boxes if I can, and I'm going to put it back in store. I'm going to see if I can get OP back. So maybe when we loop back around to Lorcana again, I'll see if I can build a player base. It's going to be interesting. I've never had like a video making me accountable for that, but let's actually do it. I'm going to try. I'm going to apply for OP again. I'm going to try to run events. I want to carry the new product, and we're going to see if I can organically grow some Lorcana players. We'll see what happens. Might be interesting.
Hey, we're gonna be along with you. Go give Mason a follow because if you, again, it's so important to have multiple perspectives. So many videos in your algorithm are all going to be the hype machines, the investor bros. You're going to want to find a game that has some players, some collectors, yeah, some investors who are trying to think, what's this game going to be worth in 10 years? And some game shop owners who are like, man, I need something that I can sell at a healthy margin at a regular basis on this like quarterly release schedule, whatever it might be for that TCG. I need a game people will actually play. I need a game that people are going to rip open. I need something that people want to buy the box for a variety of reasons, not just one reason. And I'm hoping Lorcana can be that for a whole bunch of hobby shops across this country. If you are still pining for Pokemon product, understand what it could mean, how powerful it could be to go to your local game shop and be like, "Hey, do you have boxes of Lorcana? Because I just need something I can rip." They're going to have cheap boxes from out of rotation, that don't have the core constructed most playable cards to the meta. That means those boxes are super fucking cheap. You get to rip them up and have some fun, going exploring through the ages of Lorcana. Again, if you're a collector, investor, whatever it is, you can collect a box of Lorcana, a booster box of every set for on average $20 under MSRP. It's I repeat, a new TCG that has weathered its hype cycle and is currently available. On average, the box is $20 under MSRP a piece. What are we doing here, people? Unless you want the hype, unless you want to actually pick out what's the next Dragon Ball Z, is it Gundam? Is it going to be Godzilla? I want it to not be Godzilla because, man, I figured out there's a Godzilla TCG and I'm like, oh, I want some fucking Godzilla in this motherfucker. But if you want something like Mason's saying here, it seems like it's like they've just found a way to be a TCG. The water's fine, y'all. Come on in. But that's all just my take. From my angle as a collector, still it feels like kind of the perfect time to be getting into Lorcana. It feels like if you were a shop, it would be a good time to start to get into it past the hype and be like, oh well, do we have some players here? Hell, even if you're one of those again investor type resellers, even if you're one of the lazy resellers who just wants to buy a box and sit on it, you now have the first 2 years of Lorcana's history to go mine through. Um, and that's, they printed that much for motherfuckers like you. So go eat up that motherfucking product. And I'm even gonna have a series where I'm gonna help people understand that as long as you're not one of the lazy ones, I'm gonna churn through product, that out of print product and get it into the hands of people who aren't currently experiencing Lorcana at all at still a very deep discount. It won't be about, man, what is this box going to be worth in 10 years? It'll be about what's it worth right now? What's it worth MSRP? And what could I say, man, I'm getting you blank under MSRP while I still make a healthy margin. It's almost like you could just be like a reseller without being a lazy piece of shit. And you could also build the community. People might come to you later and be like, "Do you have any more boxes? Do you have any blah, blah, blah? I hit this big card. I don't want it. Would you buy it?" All sorts of different ways that you could be weaseling your way in motherfuckers' wallets in this game right now. It just doesn't include buying a box and sitting on it, you lazy motherfucker. What else have I got? But I don't know. I think that's all I got. I and just kudos to Ravensburger for again. If you're a player collector or one of those resellers, you have every incentive in the world to go to a local game shop, not go to a big box store for this product. You now have the understanding to say, if I want to be first in line for that product, this is a TCG that's literally going to has a system in place to do that for me. They use this pre-order system and this nationwide network of hobby shops, almost like to just supply people who want to participate in the hobby with the product that makes up the hobby. Just go to a fucking hobby shop. I don't know. I don't know if I have anything else. What do we got in my notes? Blah blah blah. I don't know. It was a quick one. I'm gonna have like a getting into Lorcana video soon. So subscribe, hit the bell icon. That'll be hitting you. I probably got some Lorcana shit around me right now. Hit that shit. I love you all. TCGs or whatever you make of them. May your polls be blessed. And just be good to each other. All right, take it easy, y'all.